The IRS has already processed nearly 105 million tax returns. The deadline to file is the end of Monday, except in Maine and Massachusetts, where tomorrow is Patriots' Day. This past week, bank regulators gave failing grades to 5 of the country's biggest financial institutions, saying their plans to get through a potential bankruptcy were not credible. Here to explain, CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger. Jill, this came out of the Great Recession and the Dodd-Frank Act. What are these plans and what did they say about banks?
Well, they're referred to as living wills, just like a living will that we would have a directive. If we were approaching failure, what would happen? And the banks are submitting these plans to their 2 main regulators, the Fed and the FDIC. What they're trying to say is, if we were approaching failure, how we'd get through it without crashing the financial system or needing taxpayer assistance, like we saw when Lehman Brothers failed in 2008.
It's scary when you first hear it. Bernie Sanders has been talking about this a lot, trying to break up the banks, taking some criticism for not fully explaining it, maybe in parts. But did any company pass this test?
Not exactly. We have 3 other companies, big companies, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, and Citigroup, all of which had some sort of deficiencies that they have to address. But that said, a lot of experts are looking at this and saying, this is a plan about failure. These banks are actually in much better shape than they were 8 years ago. They've got more capital, they're using less borrowed money, and their liquidity, their ability to access money is much better. So we shouldn't be so scared. That's sort of falling on deaf ears with the public. When we look at the public's trust in financial institutions, it's at an all-time low of 8% right now.
So what do the banks have to do now?
Well, all of them are going to have to resubmit or plug the holes that were identified in the plans by this October. Next summer, they resubmit altogether. A very weird thing, though, we had weak bank earnings. We had this report. Bank stocks were up 7% last week.
Jill, thanks very much.
Thank you.